All right, let's talk about something that's affecting all of us. We're going to uncover 5 modern-day poisons that are quietly, sneakily destroying our focus. They're disguised as just normal, everyday habits, but what they're really doing is waging an invisible war on our most valuable asset, our brain.
Does this sound familiar to you? You're trying to work, but it feels like you're running a super high-end operating system on a laptop with like 4 gigs of RAM and 20 different apps open at once. Everything is lagging, everything is slow. If you've ever felt that brain fog, trust me, you are not alone. And I really want you to hear this. It's not your fault. It's not that you've gotten less intelligent or less capable. The truth is, you're just caught in the crossfire of this silent battle for your attention, a battle that's fueled by habits we consume every single day without even realizing it.
So let's get into it. We're going to identify the 5 invisible poisons of modern life. They often look like harmless habits, but believe me, their effects on our minds are incredibly damaging. Okay, here's our game plan for this explainer. We're going to tackle the lie of multitasking, the 15-second brain trap, this whole glorification of no sleep, the connection between junk food and a junk brain, and the big one, dopamine overdose. And then, at the end, we're going to arm you with your very own counterattack.
Let's kick things off with poison number 1, the lie of multitasking. This is that poison we almost wear like a badge of honor, right? Especially in our work culture. We pretend we're being super productive when really we're just frantically switching between tabs.
We have been sold a massive lie. We think multitasking is this amazing skill, that it's about doing multiple things at once and being a high achiever. But the reality? It's just rapid task switching. You're not actually doing 2 things at once. You're just doing 2 things poorly, one right after the other.
And this quote just nails it. Think about it. Every single time you jump from an email to a chat notification and then back to your work, your brain has to press the clutch, shift gears, and hit the gas again. It's so inefficient, and it burns through your mental fuel at a ridiculous rate.
So, how do we fight back? This is the crucial part. First, do something radical. Turn off all those non-essential notifications. Just create some silence for yourself. Second, you've got to retrain your brain with monotasking. A great way to do this is the Pomodoro technique. 25 minutes of deep, uninterrupted focus on one thing, then a 5-minute break. Simple, right? Finish one thing before you start the next. Okay, let's move on to poison number 2, and you'll see how these things build on each other. It's the 15-second brain trap, and this is probably the most addictive poison of our time, delivered through that endless scrolling stream of TikToks, Reels, and Shorts. I love this quote because the analogy is just perfect. Think of your brain as this fertile piece of soil. If you are constantly planting it with shallow 15-second videos about pranks and drama, you can't possibly expect to grow a deep, sustained focus. You're literally training your brain to be incapable of long-form thought. Now, the antidote here isn't about quitting social media cold turkey. It's about being smarter. First, set some screen time limits and actually stick to them. Second, be intentional. Swap 30 minutes of that mindless scrolling for something that actually nourishes your brain, like a good book or a podcast. And maybe most importantly, allow yourself to be bored. Boredom isn't some void to be filled. It's the space where creativity and real self-reflection are born. On to poison number 3, and this is one that gets glorified by hustle culture. The idea that sleep is for the weak. You see those posts, people bragging about working at 3 a.m. like it's some sign of incredible dedication. And this quote just cuts right through all that noise. Sacrificing sleep for work isn't a badge of honor. Research from top universities has shown that the cognitive impairment you get from sleep deprivation is basically the same as being intoxicated. You're just stealing time from your sleep to work longer and produce worse results with a foggy brain. It makes no sense. So the antidote is really simple, but it does require a bit of a culture shift. First, just stop glorifying exhaustion. Smart work isn't about working until you drop, it's about being sharp and focused. And second, start treating 7 to 8 hours of sleep as a sacred, non-negotiable part of your job. Look, you charge your phone every single night, right? Why on earth wouldn't you do the same for your brain? All right, poison number 4 is one we tend to underestimate because, well, it feels so good in the moment. Junk food, junk brain. We all know bad food affects our bodies, but we rarely connect the dots to our mental performance. And check this out, this is why it matters so much. Your brain is this tiny little organ. It's just 2% of your body weight, but it is an energy hog. It consumes a massive 20% of your daily calories. So if you're fueling a high-performance machine with garbage, you just can't expect it to run like a Ferrari. The fix here doesn't have to be extreme. It's all about small, consistent changes. Just start by swapping one sugary snack a day for a piece of fruit. Make sure there's a serving of vegetables on your plate at lunch and at dinner. And hydrate with water, not liquid sugar. It's a simple equation. Junk food equals the junk brain. Now for our fifth and final poison, the dopamine overdose. And look, this can be a sensitive topic, but it is a real, serious problem for a lot of people. We're talking about the compulsive consumption of super high dopamine content, like pornography, which can basically act like a digital drug on our brain's reward system. So here's how it works. This type of content gives you such an intense, unnatural spike of dopamine that your brain adapts by becoming numb. It gets desensitized. And then normal, healthy pleasures, like a good conversation, a walk outside, or a personal achievement, they just don't register anymore. You've essentially burned out your natural reward circuit. The path back from this really requires courage. The first, most crucial step is to just be honest with yourself, without shame, and acknowledge that there's a problem. Then, you take practical steps. Make it harder to access. Clear out the bookmarks, delete the apps. And finally, you have to actively replace that time with something healthy that connects you to the real world, like exercise or just talking with a friend. So, we've laid out the 5 poisons. Now let's talk about your counterattack. Because this is all about making a conscious choice. It's about choosing the discipline of long-term mental strength over the easy escape of short-term gratification. And if you look closely, there is such a clear pattern here. Every single one of these poisons offers an instant hit, right? A quick escape from boredom or stress. And every single one of the antidotes requires the exact opposite: awareness, discipline, and the courage to choose what's actually better for you in the long run. So I want you to take just a second, do a quick, honest self-diagnosis. Of the 5 we covered, multitasking, the junk content, no sleep, junk food, or that dopamine overdose, which one is hitting you the hardest in your life right now? And here is the challenge I have for you. Don't try to fix everything all at once. That's a recipe for failure. Just pick one. Commit to practicing one antidote consistently for just 1 week, whether it's turning off your notifications or adding some vegetables to your dinner. Because your brain is the most valuable asset you will ever have. It's time to stop poisoning it, and it's time to start giving it the nourishment it actually deserves.